Oh, over here.
Welcome back to Celtic State of Mind. I was just saying it was almost as slow as Celtic TV. 17 minutes I was watching Aberdeen TV before Celtic TV kicked in, Kev. But one thing that it did confirm is that the crowd noise is not piped into the stadium, because Aberdeen TV didn't have the crowd noise.
Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, Aberdeen TV had Rob McLean, who was, I think he was watching a different game for the 16, 17 minutes I had to watch Red TV. I think he's meant to be partisan, but I think he was watching a game from 1983 or something like that, the way he was commentating.
An interesting experience. Now, I'm going to ask you, because you were asking in the first half, Kev, all around, you wanted a wee bit of verve, which I think appeals to all three of the ACSOM contributors today. You wanted a wee bit of verve in that first half. Did you get any? I wasn't going to drop in names like, you know, a storm in heaven and all that. Was it a storm in heaven? Were we kicking up a storm? Or was it a wee bit more like same old for Celtic? Any change in tempo?
There is a change in tempo. They seem to be playing the ball far quicker. There also seems to be a hint of a shape when they actually press out the ball. And there also seems to be a hint of a shape when we get the ball and we try to attack in certain areas. We should be 2-0 up. Kamala should have scored that second one. But I've been quite impressed so far. I'm not getting too carried away with myself, but we're moving the ball far quicker. We've seen the return of the sweeper keeper, which we haven't seen since the days of Brendan. Even though Scott Bain kind of had my balls in his mouth for a wee while. That's completely came out.
GP, I'm confused. I'm confused. On this live broadcast, Kevin has come out with some belters this season, but that one, I can't get my head around that.
This is a family show, Kev.
This isn't the only fans, you know. Kevin, let's rewind.
He had my heart in my mouth.
Wow.
A better take on it.
So I have been impressed. Right, over to JP. I'm just going to wait to go beat it. Right, on you go.
Right, JP. Kev brings up the subject, and it's been a subject of discussion all season, and one that we haven't had to contend with for the last several seasons, and that has been the issue around the goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. So yes, he does look as though he's part of that back line where Scott Brown's maybe looking for an option. They use Scott Bain. But I think he's been looking a wee bit suspect. I'm trying my best not to be negative here. And I know that when he's kind of left quite early on, the shot to hit the post, he followed up with a good save. But I think that's a priority in the summer. No matter who's in charge, we need to sort out this goalie situation, don't we?
100%. 100%. I mean, we need to have that stability at the back to build on, because the confidence comes from your keeper. And I think everybody had an extra percentage of confidence when they had Fraser Forster behind them. I don't care what anybody says. That surely allows you a bit more leeway when you're playing. It allows you a bit more leeway when you're playing, when you've got that sort of colossus behind you. Because I mean, somebody shared that picture of him in the studio when he joined the Sky Sports studio, where he's sitting there and he looks like a giant next to like McCann or whoever else, and you see the size of his frame. That's what we had in goals, and that's what we now no longer have in goals. So I'm not saying we need to go and get a like for like, but we certainly need to have somebody that's more commanding and than Scott Bain, because my stream was cutting in and out, so I didn't see. I think it cut back in just after he'd saved a shot. Was it like a point blank? Was it a header or was it a shot where he
right down his middle? Aye, and he's managed to put it over the bar. But just prior to that, JP, he did leave something that he should have. He certainly should have made sure that he was going to tip it past the post. He's left it. Anything could have happened, and eventually Aberdeen won a corner from that. I don't want to focus too much, but it has been an issue all season with the goalie. And as you say, when you think of what we did have at the back and how many points and even trophies that Big Foster won for us. Again, you look back to the Scottish Cup final this season. The goalkeeper played a big part in that, but I still think that come the summer it might be a case of we're going to cut our losses on Barkas, I'm guessing, maybe he'll go back to Greece and we'll be on the hunt for a new goalie now. Kevin, have you composed yourself yet?
Yes, I'm back.
Yes, having had to watch the first 17 minutes or so of Aberdeen TV, obviously the commentary team are speaking from an Aberdeen perspective, I understand that. But what I did notice in the early stages is that Aberdeen were right down our throats time and time again. And one player who seemed to take a wee while to adapt to that was David Turnbull, although he seems to be coming into a game now, Kev.
I think it's a typical Derek McInnes tactic against Celtic where he goes man for man. You see Robbie McCrory following Callum McGregor about everywhere. So it's maybe took him a wee while to get used to that. But that's if it's like one man against another man, then it's like we've got the better players. So you would hope our better players would get the better of if it's match up. Chris, Turnbull's came into a no bad game. He had some ball for Callum McGregor. His trademark, as they're now calling it, sandwich chip. But if you have a look at it, we're moving the ball quicker, and if they're going man marking, then we can pull them out of shape, and we've done that quite a few times. Laxalt as well just doesn't seem to be lobbing the ball into the box. Hopefully, he seems to be taking time and actually only crossing the ball when there's a man on, and they're not afraid to go back either now, which to keep possession of the ball. Look, we're only 1-0 up. Aberdeen are still presenting a danger to us, but I can actually see us winning this game quite comfortable in the second half if we get an early second half goal.
Well, I hope that is the case. The two players that have come in, JP, in Patrick Klimala and also Diego Laxalt, have you been impressed with their performance in that first half? I thought Laxalt had plenty of the ball.
Yeah, he did. And Klimala, has been, as the commentary team, who really annoyed me with some of their stuff that they were. Well, not least the fact that Jerry McCulloch calls Darren O'Day, and you're like, do you call John O'Shea John O'Shea? Because it's the exact same letter, and he's sitting right there next to him. How is he not? He maybe just is too nice to say, by the way, I'm not called Darren O'Day, I'm called Darren O'Day. I mean, if I've got that wrong, then shoot me down, but I'm pretty sure that is how you pronounce Darren O'Day. Anyway, that aside, they also started talking about how ruthless play from Celtic, and I'm like, ruthless play usually ends in a goal. Ruthless play doesn't have like all your players trying to get a hold of the ball in the box to have a shot, and then it break into Christie who skies it over the bar. That's not ruthless play, I don't think we're quite a way away from ruthless play at the moment. If we were 3-0 up and we were burying chances, then yeah, you can talk about ruthless play. But I thought Klimala was unlucky with that when he chased it down and he should have got a corner. Remember, he got his foot on the ball, which made the player play it, and it should have been a corner, as the commentary team said. So Klimala's running around and doing what you'd expect him to do, put in a shift. Probably should have scored that goal. Laxalt, not entirely convinced about him defensively. There was a point where he was kind of chasing down their guy on the right wing, he was on the right wing, and he didn't block the shot. The cross still came in. He doesn't stop the cross. And they've got guys in the box that will do damage, and you need to stop that.
I think when you're looking at the shape of that side, the personnel in there, you've got one eye on what it's going to look like next season, JP, and your two fullbacks and John Joe Kenny and Laxalt, I guess won't be with us. I thought it was an excellent cross actually by Kenny that, as you say, should have been converted by Klimala. Throwing him in for his first start in some time, it might be that he's a bit rusty, but I would still expect him to score a goal like that. When it comes into the new season, Kevin, it really does show us up for the kind of the forward planning that we've been guilty of, or the lack of. In that, at left back, we're going to be going into next season until we strengthen with Greg Taylor and Bolingoli, which I don't think will be an option. I think he doesn't, he'll be shipped off elsewhere on a permanent basis. And at right back, currently, once John Joe Kenny goes away, we have Anthony Ralston. So it's quite a bleak reminder that there's a real rebuild going to take place this summer, isn't there?
Definitely. When whoever comes in, we probably we're going to need two full-backs, more than likely a centre-half as well. I think Welsh has handled himself okay since he's came in. He's playing differently today. He's getting asked to do something different today, and he's not playing it just as simple as what he's done in the last couple of weeks. I think as well, when you see people are talking about Fraser Foster coming back, and if we get a modern progressive head coach, Fraser Foster doesn't work.
No,
you need a ball. You need a ball playing goalkeeper, and actually Barkas probably suits it. Barkas does suit the role of the modern goalkeeper. When you see, so going into next season, we've got a lot of rebuilding to do, but I'm chuffed. I'm looking forward to see where the next 45 minutes goes, to tell you the truth.
You know, I was determined after everything that's happened not to sit here for 15 minutes and throw as much negativity around the place as possible. But I just felt that the Scott Bain situation, it is something that we should discuss. And Manafchik is maybe agreeing with Kev in that he will come good. Barkas will come good. It's one of these ones, I guess, that, you know, we're going to have to look at his resale value as well, JP. If something was to present itself to Celtic, to the recruitment team at Celtic Park, that would be a better option than Barkas, and we could do a deal on Barkas, I'm guessing the whole thing would be viewed differently. But I'm looking at that team at the moment thinking that a lot of the personnel, like Klimala, who I don't think's for me, he's not a starter for Celtic. I know and I understand why Kennedy's given him his chance, because Griff and Ajeti have flattered to deceive for the best part of this season. So Klimala's getting his chance, and that's fair enough. But I just can't imagine a situation next season where you remove Edouard, the real quality from the front line, you remove him. You look at the back line, you remove the real quality in Ayer, and he's gone. You know, I'm really looking at that situation. Your midfield, we're in a transitional period with the midfield. I think the real key element of that is going forward going to be Turnbull. You know, will Scott Brown be there? And we start looking at how depleted this Celtic squad is going to be. It is quite worrying when you look at the amount of players who might be going out the door. This kind of wholesale change, we've seen it before. Sometimes it takes a while for the players to settle. And you're looking at Barkas. Do you think that we will persevere with him when you consider the amount of money that was spent on him, JP?
I mean, it all comes down to whether or not, you know, I guess El Hamed was fortunate that there was a team in Hapoel Beersheva that wanted to help him out and, you know, give him a path back home. You know, what if Beersheva didn't want to sign him and there was no interest from a club in his homeland? What would they have done then? It just so happened that was the case. So depending on how Barkas is in Glasgow, maybe a team in Greece will come along, if it's his former club or another club in Greece will come along and give him a safe route out of Glasgow and back to home, because he'd never played elsewhere other than Greece, had he? Before he came here, he hadn't played in any other country, I don't think, than Greece. So it was all new to him. But I was thinking earlier on, when I was thinking about it's a year ago today since the Copenhagen game at Celtic Park, and I was thinking, you know, when will I next be in Celtic Park for a European game? And what will the starting lineup look like at that point? It'll be very, very different to the last time anyway.
We could maybe look back on this, JP, when that time comes. We can look back on that particular comment you've just made. Yeah. Kev, just before you make your final point, we have spoken about, Ajeti and the fact that we've got to look at the human element of someone coming in and not having the same introduction to the teammates and the camaraderie and the off the park element. And we brought in 6 players, I'm not counting Kenny, who's coming a wee bit later, and it's not worked for most of them. Do you think that played a big part, just the circumstances? It was a wholesale change, bringing in half a dozen players, and for various reasons they haven't settled. But a big part of that reason is the lockdown, surely.
Definitely, these guys have been brung in to a completely false situation. You look at Barkas, he's never played outside Greece. We're not going to jettison a goalkeeper who we've scouted for 4 years and who's came to us during a global pandemic. He's getting the summer to impress he's getting the summer to impress whoever he's got to impress, and so's Ajeti, because of the circumstances of this season. I'm actually quite certain of that.
Well, the game has started at a pace, so thank you to Kevin Graham and JP Mason for joining us. And thanks everybody for your comments. You're joining us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. We'll be back at full time for a full-time analysis, and we'll see you then on A Celtic State of Mind.